If you lost everything today, no audience, no branding, no money, and you needed a paying customer in just 7 days, what would you do? I'm going to demonstrate how using this 5P sprint that even starting from zero, you can get buyers interested in your stuff in record time. And I'm going to show you how I would do it by selling two things: a low ticket product, in this case, a $79 teeth whitening kit, and a high ticket service, a $1,200 dog training program. They both use the exact same sequence, including your product or service, and all you need to do is just execute. Let's go ahead and begin. Day one, what I would do is I would start by picking the pain. And that is intentional. Notice how we're not starting with a job title. We're not starting with features. We're not starting with something that nobody cares about because people buy the outcome of what you create. I start with pain because there's a problem that somebody's going through on an emotional level and they don't want it in their life anymore. They either want it to go away or they want to see it improved into a state that they like. The pain is your driver. And to do so, I need to pick one niche because we're not trying to sell to everyone. I need one painful problem that that person has, and I need one measurable result. Once I have those, everything becomes so much clearer. So for teeth whitening, my niche in this case is brides or somebody who has an event coming up within the next 2 to 3 weeks. They're embarrassed because they hired this great photographer, but they don't like the way they look in photos. They don't like their smile. That is a very emotional and urgent problem they're encountering. For dog training, I would choose first-time dog owners embarrassed by leash pulling. They're out at the dog park and they don't feel in control in public because their little animals running around barking, causing a nuisance. Notice how I'm not selling teeth whitening gel and I'm not selling training sessions. We want to shift our mindset to what that result is. I am solving embarrassment. If you pick the wrong pain, though, nothing will ultimately work. But if you pick the right pain, it'll drive action from the people who you actually want to buy your thing. So to recap, pain is always a bigger motivator. It is a bigger driver than product features or a job title. And in this case, we're going to be selling it to brides who are embarrassed by their smile in photos. Noticeably whiter teeth is what they actually get. For dog training, the dog pulls on the leash, embarrassing in public, they get calm, controlled walks in 30 days. After that, we would move to day two, and I would start to pick my promise. This is very important because I want to define a clear outcome. For teeth, noticeably whiter teeth in 7 days or your money back. For dog training, calm, controlled walks that stop leash pulling in 30 days guaranteed. So notice how I did the three things on top. I want to make it measurable, I want it time bound, and I want to remove as much risk as possible. Because what happens is you create clarity, clarity creates trust. Trust creates easier sales, less friction, you deliver more value. And if your promise is vague, your sales will become extremely weak, your marketing won't land. It's going to be really hard to position your business as different because you'll be competing on price. You'll be seen as a commodity. So we're giving a specific result in a specific time frame with risk removed as much as possible. Nobody will care at this point if you try and sell something and assume that they understand what it is that you do. So again, we're flipping that script. We're selling the outcome of what we create. We're not selling something and assuming that people already knows what that means to them. So after this, day 3 to 5, we want to understand that people matter most because this is almost a rite of initiation. I want to go to where these people are. So I want to go to where they already hang out. I want to ask them about their problem and I want to start real conversations. Many business owners try and skip this step and then they spend an exorbitant amount of time and money trying to backtrack and figure out where they went wrong. If you have this data to begin with, your product or service will be substantially more attractive. You will get to the good part faster where you're making more money and you won't have to guess what people actually want. So for teeth, I join wedding Facebook groups. I see bridal hashtags. I post, is anybody having a wedding coming up and stressing about their photos? For dogs, there's dog owner Facebook groups or there's even just in-person ones. I just need to join something. So I join that dog owner Facebook group. I post, is anybody struggling with leash pulling right now? And we're not doing a funnel. We're not doing ads. I just want to have real conversations. The goal is to get them from this dialogue they're having in these places, they already congregate into something I can communicate more details with. It could be a Zoom call, it could be a phone call, it could even be going out for coffee or lunch. Because conversations will always beat impressions, meaning it's always best to get real people who have real problems, get a dialogue open before you begin creating content, before you create ads. I recommend 20 to 30 real conversations. That will always beat trying to do more market research. That will always beat trying to just do more guesswork. And after this, now I need to prove that there's demand before I even take this to the next level. So on day 5 or 6, 5 to 6, what I'm going to do is before I build my inventory, before I launch my service into the stratosphere, before I scale or grow, I validate. I need to make sure that this thing is worth pursuing. For teeth, after I've had this DM, which by the way, I'm offering details up front, I'm in that conversation saying, hey, I've been helping people whiten safely at home for 7 days before their event. Do you want more details? I put the micro offer up front and then I get their permission to interact. Afterwards, if they're ignoring me, if they've seen the message, if you're stuck on red and they're ghosting you, you need to refine the messaging. For dog owners, I'm helping dog owners fix leash pulling in 30 days. Would you be interested in more info? If they say yes, if you get a lot of yeses, there's inherent demand. It's something worth pursuing. People are interested in potentially solving this problem, and you might be the one to guide them on that journey. If they ignore you, adjust the message. If you got a lot of no's, or I've never had this before, or that doesn't make sense, either one of two things is happening. Your offer isn't properly connecting the dots for them, meaning what you're trying to sell doesn't make sense to them, and they're not seeing how it can solve their problem, or more than likely, this also happens, is that people just don't want it. That proves that the validation is not adequate. It's not worth pursuing. You see this a lot where people try and force a problem onto people and then they try and sell the solution. We never want to manufacture pain. We never want to create a problem that they don't have. We want to make sure that it's real. And most people skip this and they waste months. After that, after I've done validation before my inventory, we're moving into day 6 through 7, the final stretch here. I want to prescribe, and this is very important because I'm still not pitching. I don't pitch, I prescribe. For teeth, you've got 14 days before your wedding. You want visible whitening without sensitivity. This kit is built exactly for that. It's $79 compared to a $500 dental visit. That's an easy decision. You have to compare and contrast against what beliefs they already have. So there's usually hangups. Oh, I've heard of this. It might not work for me. Do you have any proof? The second thing is going to typically be that they need to have it anchored in a situation that makes sense to them. If this person has a wedding, 5 years down the line, it doesn't make any sense. If they said, I am worried about that. I have this wedding coming up in 2 weeks. I'm stressing about ABC. Tell them, oh, it sounds like you're stressing about ABC. You have a wedding coming up. This solves your problem. You want to mirror back their objections, their concerns, their wants, needs, likes, and desires on them. If I'm talking to that dog owner and they say, every time I'm at the dog park, they're barking, they're pulling on the leash, they're messing with the other people around me, and it's just embarrassing. Oh, you've actually got inconsistent leash structure. We fix that in 4 sessions. Session 1, session 2, session 3, session 4. If they keep that dog for 10 years, solving the issue in 30 days is cheap. You have to have understanding of how these things align. So we are repeating the problem in their words, we're identifying the bottlenecks that are blocking them and making sure we address those, and we're presenting our solution accordingly. It's the same framework, but different pricing and in some cases, it's the same psychology, but we're trying to have a better understanding. Think about it this way. The same things, the same sequence of events that you will go through to solve their problem is true in case A, where you just sell the job title, I'm a dog trainer, but B has a much different depth of the problem and typically commands a much higher price. Meaning, another example might be if I'm a physical trainer, I can say, I get you healthy, or I help you lose 10 pounds in 30 days without having to change your eating habits or work schedule or drive out to a gym. Same thing I'm going to run through probably the process to help you lose that weight, but one of those shows that there is a tangible outcome. Now, to recap what we did, why this is so important. is because we did a few key things. We chose brides embarrassed by their smile. We promised visible teeth whitening in 7 days. We started conversations. We had 20 to 30 people. We've actually gotten their information, which are 20 to 30 first leads. We validated that this is a real problem, that there is demand, and we prescribed a $79 solution. For dog training, we chose dog owners that were embarrassed in public. We promised calm walks in 30 days. We started real conversations, we validated demand, and we prescribed a $1,200 fix. It's the same order every single time. And the best part of this as well is that once we understand what we're doing, who we're talking to, how we're communicating to them, we're doing this 100 times over. You can see exactly where the drop off is. You can improve iteratively, and this thing compounds over time. So if you're like trying to sell to everybody, you don't have a defined offer, you're still like, why am I not getting buyers? If you chose this path, you would create a snowball effect where you would make considerably more money for doing considerably less work. Now, I want to zoom out here for a second. A lot of times, most businesses struggle with even understanding the context. They don't fail because of effort. You probably working a lot harder than you need to. They fail because they skip the steps. They build before they validate, they pitch before they diagnose, and they create before they converse. The money lives in the sequence. And if that feels confusing, if all of this still feels confusing, you are probably stuck on one of these days. Most people are, where you're like, I don't know what's the bottleneck. I don't know what I should be working on. And if that sounds like you, that's actually why we built a free 30-second diagnostic tool that tells you exactly what's choking your growth. I built this because you can either solve this now or you can pay a business coach tens of thousands of dollars to tell you the exact same thing in a Word document. If you want help fixing it as well, you can even book a free call with my team and myself if you qualify. But most importantly, don't skip the sequence. That's where the money is. If you follow the order of operations, you will get closer to where you want to be. If you skip steps and start dancing between each one of these and trying to do all this guesswork, it's not going to work out and you're going to be screaming at yourself saying, I wish I would have done this whole process sooner instead of trying to just guess what people want. Now, I do put out a video like this every week. I hope it was valuable. Be sure to subscribe and make sure you comment as well on what you actually are struggling with so I know what content to create. But I hope this video was beneficial to you. You got this. Until then, I will see you next time.